Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ELSAConnect. So I'm extending a very warm welcome to each one of you who's present here in the Zoom room, and those of you who are connecting with us through YouTube Live. Welcome to ELSAConnect. ELSAConnect is an initiative of ELSA Bengaluru, and this happened sometime in April, March end, when the pandemic hit us. We were under a lockdown, and Vandana took up a 21-day challenge, and what a phenomenal journey we have seen through these sessions. It's been heartening to see and hear so many of us ELSAs join us over these Connect sessions, have a heart-to-heart with us, and also these have been strengthening sessions which have been, giving us a feel of their compassion, their passions, their journeys, strength, love, and whatnot. So here we bring to you another session, a beautiful one with Aarti, and this will be curated by Pratibha. So I would now like to invite Pratibha. Pratibha, over to you. And we are all ears to hear Aarti's journey and all that she has to share with us. Thank you, Pratibha, for bringing this one to us.
All right. Thank you so much, Kaveri, for that. And hello, everyone. So today we will be having Aarti Singh from the economics batch of 1998. So Aarti is going to be sharing with us what her journey has been like. So let me pull up my screen. All right. I'm sure you'll be able to see this slide, right? So what Aarti is going to be doing is at each milestone, she's going to be sharing what it was all about, but also some learnings that she gained, and learnings that are really, equally valuable for folks across all age groups, right? From those in college to those who are in the corporate world, and to those who are now mentoring the future generation. So I won't be taking any more time. And I'll hand it over directly to Aarti. Aarti, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pratibha. Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Aarti. I'm based in Bangalore now, and at the moment, I'm working for Mercedes. I obviously passed out in '98, and I'm just very, very grateful to ELSA, so that it gives me this opportunity to meet all of you and also share some parts of my journey with you. And the intent is, like, whatever are my learnings, I'm able to share with you. And for some of you, you would have grown-up daughters thinking, how do I go ahead with my career? So if there's anything that I could help with, offline also, if you want to reach out to me, please feel free. If there's any coaching, mentoring, etc., I mean, I'm always available. And I really, spend a lot of time mentoring women. So that is something that I would gladly do. So if you just say, I was just talking to Pratibha, and I told her that, career for me happened accidentally. So sometimes, destiny can take us somewhere where we could not imagine it would do so. And to give you that background, I have quite a few cousin sisters, and all of them today are working housewives. None of them are working, and I'm the only one who's working. And the reason it all happened, as I said, it was by chance. So I went to MGD school in Jaipur. It was an all-girls school. I was like good in studies. So my family was such that they paid a lot of emphasis to education, and they ensured that even if you're a girl or a boy, you get a good education. But the career conversations and all were meant for the boys in the family. And for the girls, it was like you get a good education and they find a good match, and then off you go. And from there, because education was very important, I was always, asked to pay attention to my studies, and I was good academically. So, I finished with MGD. I got into LSR. I went there, and after LSR, I went to SP Jain. And in LSR, I think the biggest learning for me is everybody I saw there was wanting to do something. Unlike my earlier years, here people are very focused on maybe clearing the cat or writing some exam, and there was much more purpose here, I would say. And that's where I also took the exam, got into SP Jain, and I did my master's in IT in SP Jain, and kind of finished, I would say, my education. at that point in time. And after SP Jain, my career journey started. But while I was in SP Jain, coming from a all girls school to a all girls college, in the first 3 months in SP Jain, I wanted to run away. I wanted to go back home, because what happens is, and this would happen to many people, uh, you know all girls school, very like-minded people, coming to LSR, again very like-minded people. Then suddenly in SPJN you come across people, there's a very cutthroat environment there, okay, where everybody wants to do better than you, and the only way you can do better is if you push somebody down. That is the kind of very competitive culture. And I was very good in finance, and I shifted to IT, and it was very, very difficult for me. And just trying to adjust in that whole environment, I would say, for lack of a better word, lot of mean people. Like in LSR you didn't have mean people, and here, imagine, most of the people were mean, so everybody is so busy studying. If you had a query, nobody was willing to help you, and it was really like that. But like, I kind of finally, and then the other option for me is to get back home and then get married, which didn't appeal to me. So then I decided to somehow continue here. And I finally finished, and I managed to be like third in my class, which was very, very surprising for the boys. So initially they would say that, because she's a professor's favorite, she got good marks. So it happened in the first trimester, repeat in the second trimester. And by the time I reached the third trimester, they kind of acknowledged that, okay, I'm not so bad. Okay, so they'll not say like you're good, but they were saying that, okay, you're not so bad, so it's okay. And then what happened is, after SPJN, everybody is gearing up to get this really good job, out of campus. And we were looking at all the day zero companies, me included. G came. I was very excited, very optimistic. And, but I didn't get shortlisted. I didn't get shortlisted even to go to like the GD round, which was very, very disappointing. And in campus, it can get very disappointing, because there's a lot of pressure also. And so I just went up to them and asked them that, why did I not get shortlisted? And they said that, your CV is very good, but you're a complete fresher. And we come here to take people for our leadership programs. And to be able to get in, one very important criteria is you need some work experience. So somewhere around 2 to 3 years. So work somewhere and come back to us. So one learning that I would take from here, which I want to share with you, is that, sometimes even during work, other circumstances, we feel that something didn't happen, or, the way we wanted to, because we were not good enough. And I think it's always good to clarify as to what went wrong, because I never imagined that being just a fresher was the reason. I imagined so many other things. So after that learning, I always try and ask around that what is it that went wrong, why, etc., so that at least you can do something about it. Otherwise it's kind of a lost cause. Then if you think that it didn't work out, and then nothing would work out. And why, like, I also want to emphasize here why this was very important is, like, from iFlex, I went into a regular job, software development, worked on a product, which is FlexCube. It was all regular stuff, and my career would have gone a particular path. But sometimes you get that springboard in your career. So this G job was actually that springboard that I was really looking forward to. And so from iFlex, I joined GE. While I was in iFlex, I also...
Aarti, just let me get in here. Yeah. Before you joined GE, right? You're saying that first step really was when you joined iFlex that got you started on your career journey.
Right. So
right, and that gave you like a lot of exposure, that much needed exposure before you went and joined a multinational corporation.
You are so right, Pratibha, because what happened is, as I said, every journey needs a first step. And, joining iFlex, because I was in SP Gen, and, everybody wanted to work, everybody wanted to have a career, which was so unlike me. And then when I went there, I realized that I just loved working. it was just such a surprise, that something that I didn't think of at all, where I thought it was only for the men and like they would work. I just realized that, I really enjoyed it. And this is something that I want to continue doing. And thereafter, like I always tell people that, for women, it is very important to have a career. And especially because some of the characteristics that the women bring to the table, because wherever I've gone, it's kind of been a all man's world. And I always feel that what you bring to the table is always a very different perspective. And that is what is very important. And that is the reason I feel, if women apply themselves and just believe in themselves that, yes, I can do it, there is a very good career ahead. So mine happened when I didn't have any focus, is what I'm saying, at least the start. And later, obviously, when I started enjoying it and it became rewarding, when you put in so much more and the rewards come, and then it's cyclical, then it just happens. So obviously, that was the such start. And then after working in iFlex, I went to GE. I finally got through the Information Management Leadership Program. And I was there for 2 years. And I did get married also when I was in iFlex. And now if I think of the wonderful career I had, it's all thanks to just one person, and that is my husband. And obviously my parents contributed everything, but if I think of, that time in my life, because my husband was working in the US, I was supposed to go and join him in the US. And I told him, like, I've got this really good break and I want to go ahead. And for 2 years I would have had to stay away from him, because it meant rotations of 6 months in different locations, and two were in the US that time. And then he told me that, this is an opportunity that comes in a lifetime. And as I said, it was the springboard. And he said, you take it and we will somehow manage. And I have to admit, my parents thought that my husband was mad, because who will let like a young wife go here and there. But as I said, so some, and in my whole career journey, if I look back, however the men were, it was also at the same time men responsible for my success. And I'll come to that also. Like all along the way, it has been like some man or the other. So after like the IMLP program, I graduated from there. And then what happens is you get like a little jump, and I became a black belt and lean leader in the aviation business. So typically you operate at a 6 sigma, but in the aviation business, you operate at a 11 sigma. And here, and the doing the black belt program is very, very tough, because you have to do an exam which is very difficult. You have to do it in the US only, and then there's a lot of technicality there, and plus you have to do two large global projects. So I think my main learning, I would say, in this was that, when you have very ambiguous situations, that's what happens in a black belt project. You have to be very clear of what your goal is, because these goals are all outcome based. So, and that learning was very important in the beginning that I did, because now the world has become even more uncertain. So it is very important to know what you're going after. And at that time, apart from playing a role, I was also pregnant. And to get certified in the black belt program, you get only 2 years to do it. So I ensured that before I left, on my maternity, I finished everything. So that is why, like, that time pressure that you have to put on yourself is very, very important. So when you take very difficult things, it is very important that, you plan it very well. I think that was my biggest learning, and you need to have all the right stakeholders involved. And because I was also getting into maternity, I also found a lot of colleagues coming and helping me out, trying to do things so that it could get done faster. So I think the most important thing here is also plan well, believe in yourself, and rest of the world will conspire to help you. Was like my biggest learning here, because it was like against a lot of odds. And then I went off on maternity leave. And in those days, we used to get 3 months. So I went off for 3 months. And you see my older son's picture here. He was a very good baby. Like, for example, when I returned to work that night, he slept at like 11 and got up at 6 in the morning. And that was his routine, just on the day that, I was supposed to get back. So it worked out quite fine. But
So,
obviously,
Aarti, I'd also just like to come up here.
uh-huh.
Um, what did it feel like, after you returned to work? Because I'm sure things would have been different, right? Before you had a child and then afterwards. What was
uh,
it like?
yes. So Pratibha, the day I had to go back, like I just had lot of, I would say, very, very worried, lot of thoughts in my mind about how I will get back, how people would react, how my son would stay at home. So I did have like a caretaker, and this lady was with me for some time, but I was like extremely worried. And so one thing what I also learned is to have a good ecosystem around you. So whenever you have a child, I see a lot of people who just find it very difficult to let go. So I also went through that. And one of my friends had told me that when I had my son, she says that he just doesn't leave me because I didn't allow him. He was with me. I didn't really allow too many people around him. So she said that I really got stuck. So what I realized is small kids, whatever you get them used to, they get used to that. So I ensured that I had a caretaker. I had like 2, 3 people coming in and out of the house. So the baby got used to other people also. And then I created an ecosystem where the baby was taken care till I would come back. And it then worked out pretty fine. And I would also like to highlight, like, just take advantage of whoever's willing to help you. And there's nothing wrong. Sometimes we feel guilty that we've left our child behind, but my mother-in-law also came to my rescue. She came and spent about almost 5 months with me, and she's a very conservative lady, always taking care of her husband. So till now I'm very grateful to her that she's left her husband for 5 months and come and stayed with me and took care like of my son and her grandson. So the ecosystem, whoever's ready to help you, just grab it and just create that system, because once you get back, then you're set. And everything I said, the whole world will conspire to make you successful. So there's nothing which will not get done. And now it is such a flexible world. At least when I went back after my first child, it was not so flexible then. But now, so now I feel anybody, okay. And it is, and I will also show you in my career journey where I've taken from one role to the other very different roles. You can take the risk. There's enough of an ecosystem to support you. There'll be a lot of men who will be there to support you. Some who will pass comments, you learn to ignore it, and you need to just move on. So every lady who's capable, who's got a good education, has to really apply herself, is finally what I learned. uh, then after this role, I also took another role, which is very, very technical. It was in unified communications and collaboration technology. So we had email, we have, the video conferencing that we are doing right now, the chat. So the gamut of all of that. And we made like a lot of products with Cisco together. I was in the core team, did a lot of rollouts globally. And then there was also one very challenging project, which was always a loss-making PNL. And I was pretty young then, and this was being handled by a very senior person who left. So, there was nobody to fill in the shoes, and I used to work for that person. So the team in the US asked me that, Aarti, can you just take this up? And everybody said, they're asking her like she's this young one. But I said yes. And in 1 year, I converted this negative PNL to a positive one. And I put a flag there because that is the time that brand Aarti within GE was created, because I was able to do this role which a very senior person was doing, and then I was able to convert it. So I think the most important thing here is someone needs to take a bet on you. And if someone is willing to take that bet, please do not hesitate. See, what women do is women always feel, oh, for this role, I'm 60% good, or I'm 70% good, but this 30%, I just don't know. I don't know how I'll manage it. Okay. Typically, that is how women think. And my only I would say request to everybody is, even to the people that I talk to, is that if you feel that you have 60 to 70% of any role, the rest 30% will just happen. So just take it up, do it. And worst what will happen is that you may not be able to do it. So what? Then you just look and take up another role. And it's absolutely fine if you take up something and you're not able to do it. And you don't really go back in your career. Your career is a very long journey. And some ups and downs will happen in some roles, but it doesn't affect your long-term career journey. But if you do not take those risks, if you do not take those challenging things, you do not know whether you've pushed yourself completely. And if you push yourself, I would say 80 to 90% people are able to do it. And those 10-20% are also able to do it. It's just a timing factor, whether you were able to do it in that time or not. And again, whether you're able to do it is a timing factor. And also, did you spend that much time in trying to maybe upscale yourself or use the ecosystem to help you? Okay. So that I would say established me as brand Aarti. And I would just say that I'd request everybody that if something challenging is thrown, you're working somewhere, something nobody wants to do, just pick it up. Whether you can do it, not do it, just do a high level mapping to say that, yeah, it is something. Yeah, it cannot be something like, I'm an engineer in the engineering world and I go and become a doctor. Obviously, things like that are not possible. But other than that, in the same space, doing different things, we must do it. Then from there, I took another role, basically because I'd spent almost 4 years there. And I'd also got my promotion in that role, which was the big promotion. After that, I took another role, basically, again, a very technical role. So I was the CTO here for South Asia, for GE again. So all IT infrastructure and all IT applications was something that I was looking after. And that this was for all the South Asia businesses, which is India, ASEAN, and Australia, New Zealand. And this is the first time I also had people reporting to me, like all over, apart from India. And as I said, this was a very technical role. I took this role, and on the first day of, like my joining was the 1st of September, and I reached hospital on the 1st of September. And I reached hospital because I was just expecting my son, we just realized. And then the doctor tells me that we don't know how you will do or whether you make it or the baby will make it. Like there were so many complications. And she said, now you have to be on like bed rest for the entire 9 months. Now it just felt that, the whole world had come down on me. And like it was very, very depressing, I would say also. Because here I was all ready to take this, I had got my promotion, everything, everybody was depending on me to take this really large role. And when you get something like this, it's just a big setback, I would say. I still have not forgotten it, on how it felt. And then so many thoughts in my mind. And then I wrote to this manager of mine. He, just to give you a background, looks just like somebody like Steve Jobs, very, very technical, doesn't smile much. Okay. So I wrote to him and I told him that, I'm so sorry that I've let you down and you took a bet on me. And I wrote this long email to him, and let's see how things go. He wrote such a beautiful email back. He told me, I have 4 kids. My youngest has cancer. And he told me that right now you go and focus on your son. And for 6 months, he said, I was just in and out of hospitals. And they told me that when you come back, we'll be right here waiting for you. And it happened to me and they meant it. And he told me, right now, you think about your health. That is the most important thing. And when you come back, we'll be waiting for you. And he said, I mean it. So I do not want you to think of anything else except about yourself right now. That's it. And I just wanted to get so much better, healthier, and just go back to work, just those few lines. So I would just say, as managers, a lot of us are managers, that sometimes when we do these small, small things for people, it just means so much more. And those people will give you so much back in return, And then you will not believe I was on bed rest, but I managed to get that laptop table and I worked right through till my son was born. And everybody told me that we never felt that you were not working or not with us or something didn't get done. And then, it got converted like even being away, yet I was there. and how did I manage that, so everybody kind of started talking about that. But here I would just say that anybody who's in a leadership position, my learning was that just do those extra small things, have empathy, and what you get back is so much more than what you had to give somebody. And so I would just say to ask all the people, whenever you get into leadership positions, those things are very important, that you just you know care, and I would say genuinely, not just for the sake of saying, or you're expected to say that to women, not like that, but really that you just stand up for them, and it'll also bring out the best in them. Then after this role, I was then in technology for quite some time. Like if you woke me up at night also, I would know about it. So then I really wanted a change, and I went into acquisitions and divestitures. So just to give you an idea about scale, we had about 70 acquisitions and divestitures going on at a point in time in GE. So I was the acquisition and divestiture leader for Asia Pacific, and the large ones I handled were Alstom and the capital business that we sold, which was a $90 billion sale. Again, very complex. And but because I was in E&D, but in IT, so doing IT applications and infrastructure. And then you see that when you buy a new company, do you stay with the systems of the old company? How do you merge them with the new one? What is better? You kind of do all those things. So once you understand that, so in 1 year, I kind of got the hang of it, because the technology is the same. It's just that how things are done is different. And then I thought that, I think I really want to change from the company also, because what happens is, even if you move various businesses, you finally are in the same ecosystem, like everybody, and the learning kind of is there, but is reduced. And so if I had, like I just jokingly tell everybody, if I had 5 years to retire, I would probably not change my job. But because I had so many more years to retire, I thought that, maybe I couldn't continue like that. So after that, I was there for almost 2 years. And after that, then I started looking around, and I got a job in Accenture, and I decided to go. And here, what I just want to let everybody know. Yeah, Pratibha, I think you're on mute. I think, Pratibha, I can't hear you. I think I see it on mute.
All right.
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. So I realized that you went to Accenture after like nearly 14 years of being in the same company, right?
Yes, yes.
How is that like? Because I'm sure, firstly, you've been in the same company for so long, and then you're moving from essentially like a product company to a services company. So what was it like? The culture would have been different, or?
Yes. So here, I think more than my role, I would just like to share how it was and how it could be for maybe some folks. In Accenture, everybody, when you join and you say you've come from a product company, everybody looks at you differently. They feel as if you're not one amongst us. I don't know if you've seen the penguin video, but they don't consider you as one of them. Okay. And then they naturally feel that you don't know how it works here. Okay. So we have like these very senior MDs who are on site and who handle all the business. And we had to do a very small RFP in one of my accounts. And that guy was always, copying my predecessor. And my predecessor was very good. He would always ignore the mail. So that guy had to just deal with me. And I used to get so irritated thinking it's something so small. And this guy will always include somebody else. Like in GE, I wouldn't even spend so much time on something like that. But then what happens is, everywhere you go, I feel you have to understand the company, the culture, and what it takes to be successful. So, and you have all these negative forces where it's not encouraging at all. So in GE, it was a very different culture. The leadership is the best I have ever seen, I have to admit, where people spend a lot of time in mentoring people, coaching them, and really elevating them. Here, I saw some of those leaders, but they look at you, as I said, very differently. And then you realize you're on your own. So the first realization that comes is, especially in a leadership role, you're kind of then on your own, but then you understand the culture, and the culture of that place, the most important thing is the client. So if you and the client are fine, everybody else around you is fine. So that's what I realized. And then when I saw that, the amount the clients were paying and what we were giving back to them, I said that where is the value? So I just started focusing on value. Long story short, when the CIO for the account came, she said, this is the first time I'm seeing Accenture deliver value after Aarti's come into the account. So it was a big town hall. So I kind of became little famous, and all these oldies, started acknowledging me. But the clients used to always acknowledge me. Like they used to tell me, oh, you've come from GE. How would you do this in GE? Or did you do this and all? So I was like an advisor to them. Okay. So finally, it is the same thing. And it is the same way of working everywhere. It's just the how, I would say, is different in different places. So, like in Accenture, so it was about the client. The second time is I helped transition the Amadeus account, which was very large. But then my boss, who was a lady, she took that bet. And she said, nobody is seeming to do this because there's so many outages here. Would you do it? So I said yes. So again, as I said, any challenging thing that is there which nobody wants to do, raise your hand and do it. Okay. Worst case, you'll fail. It's okay. Now, I just feel you should not have any fear. You leave this job, you'll find another one. It doesn't matter. Okay. But you have to try it yourself. And then one day, what happened is there was this company called Dyson. They came, and you're supposed to show all your solutions, because now clients have become very smart. They don't believe in boardroom meetings. They really want to go and see what you've done. And my boss said, Aarti, today the regular people are all traveling. Can you do it? So I said, fine. And I started showing everything to Dyson. And I also was asking them that, being a first time outsourcer, how they would do certain things at their end, which like Accenture was not responsible for, and really helping them and advising them on things they need to do. And this all came from my G experience. Okay. So Dyson said that we will sign if you give us Aarti. So then I kind of became famous in Accenture. So despite all those oldies looking at you that you're not one of us, they were all finally pinging me, because Dyson said that we want her in the account, and it was a $70 million account.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is, sometimes you just be yourself. You just have to feel the pulse of the place, but you don't have to be like everybody else, like what they are doing, what they are going after. So I didn't have any kind of mentor or anything except my boss. I met her for the first time in Accenture. Really wonderful lady who gave me that chance also for this difficult account, where she said nobody wants to do it. But apart from that, there was nobody. So it was her believing in me and me believing in myself. So I think those are the two important things. Like sometimes you need somebody, but even if you don't have somebody, you have yourself. So I think it is, just to feel the pulse of the place is very important. So if you feel that from here you're not getting a cold shoulder, like, there's a saying that when someone shuts a door, the god always opens a window, or something like that. So I think it's always there. You just have to find it. So that was my learning in Accenture. And, I had a wonderful time. But, at the same time in Accenture, I realized that being a mother, I was not doing justice, because I have like two kids. You can see they're not very grown up. And I had no time to myself. So for 2 years, what my kids were doing, not doing, I had no idea, really. Like I would see them, but I was hardly there for them. And then I realized that if my kids were in college, it was fine. I really, those 2 years in Accenture from a learning experience has been the best experience that I've had in a long time. Uh, but when it came to my kids, because I couldn't pay attention to them, I decided that it's okay when you have grown up kids, but at this point in time, my kids also need me. So then Mercedes had reached out to me saying that there is this particular role. The role was very nice. Obviously it was much larger than my role in Accenture. And I also told them that, see, one important thing for me is to give my kids the time. And they said, yeah, they're very, employee friendly company. And I talked to some of the folks, and once I realized that yes, I would be able to give time to the kids. So the big role wasn't the reason really that I took my job in Mercedes, but it was mainly because for my kids. Because if you ask me what was your failure, I think my failure in Accenture was that, especially for my younger one, my older one was quite old. For my younger one, as a mother, I failed. I mean, there's no other thing. I would just say there's no excuse for that. And so, one learning for me would be that you have to realize like what your responsibility is also, and this balancing fact is very important. And with my role in Mercedes, see, that time I took it more so saying that, I'll be able to take care of my kids, I'll have time to myself. But my role was really big. Like they had told me, but what happens is you don't realize unless you go in that exactly what is it. And now the role, touch wood, the role is good, and I'm able to spend time with my kids. So, letting go of Accenture, I would think, or someone would think that I'm letting go of my career because of my kids. But you just have to find sometimes the right place to be in to be able to manage it. So I won't say it's easy, but yet it's quite manageable. So some, and it was very tough to pull back from Accenture because I was doing well. You finally settle down, people have started looking up to you, and then thinking you have to go to a new place, start from scratch. It's an effort when you join a new company, new culture. And culturally, like Mercedes is very, very different, very hierarchical, very, very, I would say, very, very a perfectionist kind of a company where whatever they do, they just check it again and again and again, and that is obviously because you see it in the cars as well. So very different culture, and then very different stakeholder base, obviously very, very German. So to settle down, a lot of effort went in. But as I said, just be ready to put the effort and everything else will fall in place. So that has been, I would say, my learning so far on most of these roles. And being a woman, one thing that I would say across all my roles, when I go for these women sessions also, a lot of people tell me, or these women, that, when we get promoted, the men will say, oh, you got it because you're a woman. It happens a lot, I would say. Irritating, very irritating. Okay. Um, but then I was telling all these women is that yes, it happens. And right now, obviously, people want to promote diversity. So you'll hear a lot of it, but the best way is to ignore it. Because what also happens is you just learn to ignore it, and with time, people come around. So see, our social system is also such that these differences were there. They were always there, and it is changing now. But it is taking time also for the men to come around. But the moment the men realize that you are good, they acknowledge you, they support you, and they are there with you. So I have seen that. And every time I've kind of been a first time lady boss for many people in most of my roles. Like people never had a lady boss. Huh? So the first time I go, it's skepticism every single time. And even when I went to Accenture, everybody thought that, oh, we are getting a lady boss now. Now what? It's all doomsday for us. That is the reaction you get. Till people start meeting you, start working with you. And then the feedback that I started getting is, I really like working for a lady manager. So it turns around. It's the same people who had very negative thoughts when I came to Mercedes also. Very, very, I would say, man centric organization. Okay. And the people there very, very technical, because obviously I have a technical role. And again, met with a lot of skepticism. Then I've come from the north to the south. So you I don't know what is the right word, but thinking that more into fashion and more into other things versus knowing the subject, and then gradually pleasantly surprised that I was like one of them. So and then how do you build a relationship? So in a leadership position, one learning that I take is the people that work for you, you'll get the vibes they don't like you. Okay, very honestly. And they're very senior people also, especially in my roles in Accenture and Mercedes. And some people are older than you. So how do you really work with people who in the beginning don't like you? They don't like you for only one reason, because you're a lady. That's it. They've never worked with a lady. They have all these inhibitions about lady bosses and how tough they are and how bad they are. I don't know why, because every single time I faced it. Okay. So I think it is very important as leaders in a leadership role that you build a connect with the people who work for you. Most of them will come around. Someone who doesn't come around, you need to learn to say bye bye. That is one mistake that I've made, where I've kind of prolonged the problem somewhere for a long time. Do not do that. Do not take nonsense from anybody. Okay, you can give people the time to get used to something, but do not prolong the problem. In GE, when I got promoted, in a big call, and somebody, was just trying to act very smart as if you don't know anything and all. And they were all supposed to work for me. And one of them had been in the system for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. And I would just take all that. And then that day, I just gave it off to him in front of everybody. And they were shocked that I would do something like that. But what I'm saying is, take it only up to a point, then give it back, because nobody will try it again with you. After that day, that guy has never tried it. He's absolutely straight and it's fine. And people will do it, and they only do it. If I was a man, do you think he would have had the guts to do it? Like, I was a CTO in those days. Would he have ever the guts to do that to a man? No. So the thing is, you need to give it right back to them. Sometimes people will act smart, even in an email and all. So now I don't waste time. If somebody acts smart, I just set them right there and then. So nobody will try it again. So this, I just really want you to know that earlier in my career, where maybe I was a little bit more timid, maybe had more fear for whatever reason. But now when I look back, I just feel that there's no need for any of that. You've got your position because of your own meritocracy and no other reason. Okay. Because I'll tell you one thing, even I'm hiring people, I will hire a lady only if she deserves it. Okay. Yes, if there are a lot of men and I have a man and a woman equally good, and obviously I want to bring more diverse talent inside, I will hire the lady. But if the lady is not good enough as the man, I will not take her. So all of us definitely should believe in ourselves that we are getting it because we deserved it. And we got it. Everybody else around us better accept it and better respect us. And this, I feel that ladies are not very good at doing it. Okay. And I just mentor everybody and I tell them that they dare do these things with us because we are a lady. So stop it right there and then. Sometimes maybe you want to sometimes give somebody a chance, 1, 2, but there's a 3-strike rule. The third time it happens, you cannot take it. If you take it, you are not doing the right thing. You're not being a role model for the rest of the females there and for everybody around you who's a woman. So if you reach that level, somehow you are working, you've got there, now you owe it to yourself and to the other women colleagues to do the right thing, so that people don't take advantage of other women. See, once they know that, being a woman is strong, she will give it to you, then nobody will try it. When we have women who take this, then people feel that you can get away with it. So if 4 women take it and 1 woman does not, the feeling is you can give it. And with a man, you'll not try it. You dare not try it. Okay, so just ensure that whenever you're working, so you don't have to be rude or anything, but there's a way, right? Like so many times I've seen people who just try and bulldoze over you, and so you've got to really put a stop to it there and then, and just feel that you've got the role because you deserve it, and that's it. So Pratibha, I think that was quite a bit, but yeah.
Well, I think this has been a wonderful conversation, Aarti. Yes. And I'm sure so many of us here can really resonate with what you've shared, right? Because, for example, I actually see this on a daily basis. And I think we've had people from YouTube, sort of sharing their viewpoint as well. There's Aditi Gupta, who's actually come up saying, this has been a wonderful conversation. And yes, especially the conversation about the lady boss and the manager part is absolutely apt. And, how teams in earlier organizations are still initially hesitant, but now they're all in touch, right? And it's essentially the trust that you have to build. Now, I know we have questions coming up, but before we start the Q&A, I think I'd just like to call Shonali to tell us about what the next section is going to be about, and then it's going to be, then we'll get the questions rolling in. So Shonali, over to you.
Hi, yeah, thanks. Can you all hear me? Yeah. So our next session on Tuesday, also our last for 2020, is with a very old friend of mine and neighbor from DLF, Neha Bansal. So do join us to hear her. She is from the batch of 2001 Sociology, and she'll speak about her journey as a social policy and development expert with the United Nations. She's a Harvard graduate, and she believes that it's a folly to create an economy that makes a university diploma a necessary condition for a decent life. Neha will be talking about her early days, writing stories for the rickshaw puller on the road, to writing policies for the same rickshaw puller, of days when it was difficult to pay her school fees, to a selection at Harvard, to being shy and reserved, to being a dancer, and her first co-authored book, Rethinking Asia. Most importantly, her fierce spirit, a desire for authenticity, and ability to continuously learn and unlearn. So do join us at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Thank you.
Pratibha, I think you're on mute.
Okay, thank you, Shonali, for that. Now coming back to our conversation, I know I'd like to, open with the first question that came in from Shafige. So Shafige, if you could just unmute yourself and turn your video on and come up here and ask us what you wanted to ask Aarti.
Yeah.
I think Shafike, it's on mute.
Okay now?
Yeah.
The host is muting me. It's happened twice. Are we okay now?
Yeah,
okay.
We can hear you.
Right. So Aarti, hi. Just wanted to ask you at this point of time, what would you advise someone who's just starting out? Go ahead with a small setup, a small organization for your first job, or aim for a corporate and try and get into a corporate?
So I would just say, like, in today's day, like, context is very important of what you want to do. So there are, I would say, advantages of being in a startup kind of an ecosystem where you kind of do everything yourself and your learning is a lot. If you go into a corporate kind of a setup, you'll go through a very structured process, and there's a lot of learning that comes through that as well. So finally, it is basically in the area, I would say, that you want to get into. If you want to get into, see, I'm a technology person, I may not know about the other careers, but in technology, say I want to get into data analytics, data science, those kind of things. So aim for somewhere where that is a specialty, because that is where you'll get the best. You'll get the best training, you'll get the best guidance and things like that. Okay, now that can happen in large companies. Not all companies will have a very strong practice, but it could happen there. And there are like specialist companies in data science, just as an example. So, see where you'll get the good opportunities, because what happens is in the beginning, it doesn't matter where you go. You have to get yourself equipped in a very good way in the beginning. Okay, like the best, like how we say you get the best education, you get the best training wherever you get it. Because after 5 years is when your career is going to accelerate, depending on what you've got in the first 5 years. Okay, so I would say definitely to a degree, I won't say just go to anywhere and anybody. To a degree, look at the brand also that it stands for. Because what I've known in my career is the brand means something, and there's a reason for that, because there is a lot of learning that comes in those companies. So we have, like in Bangalore, a company called Mu Sigma. It's a small company, but very, very specialized in data science. And everybody knows Mu Sigma. So it's a small company, yet it's a brand. It's a niche brand. So versus you go for any mom and pop store, I would not recommend that, because then there's a lot of confusion for like somebody starting fresh. So either a good brand structured company where you have that specialty there, or you have a small company like a boutique, New Sigma type of companies where you could go for data science. And Shafiqi or anybody, if you need any help, any guidance in technology areas that I work in, I could probably help and guide you. Unfortunately, during Corona, things have slowed down, especially for us also in the auto industry. Things have slowed down a bit, like our hiring and things like that. But, things are now looking up. So I would say next year things would look better. But, any help that I can do to any of you, if you have kids, daughter-in-laws, sons for looking out, I mean, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Aarti. I do realize we have a couple of questions coming in from Elsa's right now on Facebook, but because we'll have to wrap up on YouTube by 5 and we just have limited time, I'd just like to ask questions that have come up on YouTube. So Aditi has asked once again that as corporate leaders, I've been working in the corporate for 13 years and I've been observing a leaky pipeline as we go to the top. What can we do at our level to halt this?
Okay. What was the first? I missed the first part of the question. The pipeline becomes small, and how do you?
Yes,
for women.
The pipeline becomes small as we walk up the corporate ladder.
So see, why it happens is, I think the why is very important. Why it happens is, if we look at women who are below, there is this pie which is smaller. As you go up, obviously the pie is less. And then what happens is when kids happen, most of the cases, I would say 90% of the cases is when kids happen, women tend to take a back seat versus the men have not taken a back seat at all. Okay, so it is this mid-level career where we see a drastic drop in women wanting to take up those challenging jobs. Okay, I'll give you one small example. We want to promote certain women, okay, at the mid management level. They're very capable. I have 6 such women that we are ready to promote in our organization. They themselves come and say, we don't want the promotion. Okay, 6 women. It's not 1, 6 women. And why? Because I want to take my shuttle at 4:30. Taking the promotion means that I cannot take the shuttle. Again, what I said in my first learning from SPJN when I didn't get shortlisted, please ask. Don't assume that you cannot take the shuttle. Okay. And if 80% of the time you can take the shuttle, ladies, 20% you've got to manage. You owe it to yourself that you are working in Mercedes-Benz. You have deprived 6 people from coming in here. You better make the most of it. So I talked to them and I talked to all these 6 people and I've told them I want a reason why they don't want the promotion. And if they don't want the promotion, they better plan to give this seat away to somebody else who's going to make the most of it. I mean, can you imagine something like this? Like, I want to take the shuttle and I'm assuming I cannot take the shuttle. I mean, with time and your compensation gets better, there are ways that you can manage it, so people don't even have that mindset that how do you manage a situation like that? And somebody said, I have to go home, take care of my in-laws, take care, like a long list. And as if you're not there, as if the world will stop only. And as if the whole world is rotating because of you. And you think that the world is rotating because of you, sorry, misconception.
Yeah, I think that's a learning for all of us here.
So, and the thing is, so you have these 6 women. So coming back to the question also, sorry. So, they are not ready. So I think it is all related. If you ask me, it's not that the women are not there. A lot of women are not ready to go to the next level.
Right.
And if women think that my career is secondary, my husband's career is the primary, we need to start thinking that my husband is a house husband and I'm the primary breadwinner. The moment I start thinking that, the women will start taking the challenging jobs. And also going on top means you need to cross skill yourself. You need to have the ability to take on things which you didn't do in the past. And and you hesitate. You do not want to take that risk, like what I said earlier. So you need to start taking those risks. And that pipeline in the middle management, That pipeline has to exist to be able to go to the upper management. If you don't have these pipelines there, there's nothing you can do. So I think we need to start building on the pipeline. Once we have a pipeline, then things will fall in place.
Yeah, I'd actually like to thank Aditi, for really asking this question, because it's a learning that is important for all of us. And in fact, yeah, even she's mentioned that, going forward in the future, hopefully we won't have to refer to people as women leaders, but it'll just become a place of leaders, right? We won't have to really specify a leader or a woman leader. Yeah, that's there. We have a couple of other questions. So first, I'd like to invite Preeti to ask us. So if you could just unmute yourself, Preeti, put on your video.
Move on to the next question, Pratibha. I have a feeling Preeti is not there because she's not unmuting.
Sure, sure. All right, next we have Neelu.
Hi, where are we? Yeah, Aarti, beautiful journey. Every nugget has been beautiful, and I have made some mistakes, so I could gel that, I could understand from where you are coming. But I'm very keen to know now, with all the conservative family and, what you have been mentioning, how do you meet your husband? Because this is a man you've been talking about, all the men you have helped. Tell us more about these men in your life who have been there for you, especially the man in your life. Was it meeting him at college, or was it, tell us more.
Okay, so this was like a very interesting story. When I went, when I finished LSR and I was going to SPJN, so I had a flight in the morning. So at night, they made me meet somebody, hoping that it clicks and I don't have to go to SPJN and I can get married. But it didn't happen. And that's why I say destiny can take you anywhere. Okay. So off I go to Bombay, and my grandmother tells my mother that you become mad, your daughter will go and become some heroine and she'll, doom our family and everything. Okay. But my father said, now it's too late. Now let her go. I went there, and my mother told me one thing. She said, you do whatever you want. But, caste system in Rajasthan is still quite a bit there, even today. So my mother said, see, you find somebody in a caste, it is okay. Other than that, it is just not okay. Okay. I told my mother, I'll not go ask somebody or my caste or whatever, Yeah, just to stay away from all this, because there's too much stress related to this. And then while I was just finishing college and just getting my first job, my parents, found somebody, and my parents went and met my in-laws. They liked the in-laws. They met the younger sister of my husband. They quite liked her. Then my father tells my mother that now Aarti is going to get married to this boy. And my husband was working in the US. So nobody from my family had seen him. So I told my father, but nobody's seen him, like from our side. So father says, you've seen the picture?
Aarti, just 1 second. I'm sorry for interrupting here. It's 5 o'clock, so we'll be officially going off YouTube. We'll be closing the meeting on YouTube. Thank you everyone on YouTube for joining us here. It's been wonderful to have you here and also to listen to Aarti. But the rest of us who are not on YouTube, who are on Zoom, we will be continuing this informal chat.